Witamy Państwa w programie 10 kwietnia 2010 Fakty. Ja nazywam się Aleksander Wierzejski. Zapraszam na rozmowę z Glennem Joergensenem, ekspertem podkomisji. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Glenn, cała rozmowa będzie po angielsku, ale Państwo za chwileczkę usłyszycie tłumaczenie na język polski. Glenn, you are the person who joined the commission from abroad. So the first logical question is, how did you get interested in the Smolensk crash?
Yes, I have a main customer in Norway, and one of the colleagues in this facility, he approached me several times during the lunch breaks with issues around the Smolensk.
That was 2010.
That was in 2012, actually, yes. To be honest, I actually thought that what he came to me with was conspiracy. I couldn't imagine that things would be like this. So I wanted to get hold of the Russian report and show him, because he's a very respected colleague. He was the best engineer in this whole facility, Polish colleague. And I got hold of the data. I have background from Danish Technical University within aerodynamics and fluid dynamics. I have a Master of Science degree. And I used this to calculate. I wanted to show him that the Russian scenario could be possible. But after 3 months, I had to admit that it's against the laws of physics and cannot be explained in this way the Russians are claiming. So I had the option there to either pull back and say, okay, this was this, or put forward my results. And I chose to put forward the results, and one thing led to the other, and I was attached to this independent group of experts and volunteer investigators trying to find out what really happened.
And this really also changed your personal life. You became Polish man like 2 years ago. You got a Polish passport and Polish ID. So welcome to the group of Polish citizens.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be part of Polish society, because I think we can thank Poland many times for saving Europe. And I'm proud to be Polish citizen. I have to say also that this was very important for my role as investigator, because being Polish citizen allows me to have full access to all data. And this was very important for any crash investigator. It's very important that you are basing everything on all available evidence.
Let's say a few sentences about your education as a crash investigator, because you are the certified crash investigator now.
That is true. I have one Master of Science degree from the Danish Technical University, as I mentioned earlier, and I am now, I passed all the exams, all the courses needed to be a certified crash investigator. This is the education from Cranfield University, which is regarded as the world's best within this field. And I'm continuing this education, because on top of this, I'm now taking my second Master of Science degree, this time within crash investigation. And the thesis will be about the Smolensk issue.
Right, so this is the very interesting development, and I'm glad that you changed your career to follow this particular case. On the first glance, what was wrong with the Russian and subsequently Miller Commission's report?
Well, there are many questions that you, as crash investigator, that are puzzling you. The fact that there is no crater, the fact that they are claiming that this birch tree can cut the wing without even showing that there is the proof for such. So there are many issues that are questionable in this work, and having this education from Cranfield University, I can see how many important rules for crash investigators that have been broken by the Russian investigation. I think I could spend all the time explaining about this, but maybe we should go into the door.
Well, first of all, let's say about the airplane. Now, this is the model that you brought of Boeing 727, this American-built airplane from the 50s and 60s.
This is the model I just had at hand that looked most similar to the Tupolev. I apologize for not bringing Tupolev model, but this will do the work. What we will be discussing is this passenger door right in front of the left wing. Mm-hmm. Because this, as was shown on the 10th of April, this passenger door has indisputable evidence in it. This is very important piece of evidence.
Well, again, we are returning to the film that was shown by the committee on 10th of April 2017, in this year. We've seen the new evidence, something that hasn't been heard before. It was the evidence from the airplane's door that actually fell into the ground.
Yes, saying fell is not quite appropriate because we've investigated this very thoroughly. What we did was we went to the sister plane, the P-102 in Minsk-Mazowiecki here in Poland. We took apart this door, we scanned this with the accuracy within 0.1 millimeter, and we made the very accurate 3D model of this. This 3D model, we had the world's most competent institution who can calculate such what happens dynamically with such
You can also
door.
name the institution.
The institution is called the National Institution of Aviation Research, and this is an American institution, and they are approved by FAA, which is the highest authority within aviation, for doing such simulations. And they are very, very competent, and their results showed that because this door is found 1 meter into the ground. It's found 1 meter into the ground, and we know how big the degree of damage is to this door. So from these pieces of information, with help from NIA Institute, we are able to very accurately tell what was the speed of this door that could force this 1 meter into this ground. But not only this, we also can determine the average characteristics of the ground.
Well, the critics say that the ground was actually a swamp, so it didn't need too much force to fall. The doors didn't need too much force to fall into that ground.
Yes, and this is not true, because from the calculations, and I can show you the pictures, they will be uploaded to your
We'll definitely
program.
browse through the pictures.
Yes, we'll browse through the pictures, and you will see that this is not swamped ground. But what is very important from the simulations and calculations is that we can actually say exactly how this ground was. It's not just the estimate, but from
Because
the damage of the door.
If this could be very dense ground, what would be the
if you look
damages are?
Imagine this is concrete, and you want to shoot this door 1 meter into the ground. You will pulverize this door. The damage will be very severe. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to the opposite scenario. Very soft ground, swamped ground. You want to shoot this 1 meter into the ground. The door will hardly be damaged. So, as we know the damage, we have very good photos of how this door actually was damaged when pulled out of the ground. From this, we are able to determine the average characteristics of the ground. How soft was it? How hard was it? So this gives us unique information of the ground properties. Very important piece of evidence.
Right. So right now we have a theory of, based on the evidence, how those doors fell off the plane and what was their route to the ground.
What we can say from these calculations is what speed does it take to send this door into the ground, where the end result is, as we see in Smolensk. So this, unlike, for instance, CBR recordings, which you can say, oh, they can be falsified or whatever, here we have the indisputable evidence. We have the pictures showing exactly how this door was found in the ground, and we have pictures showing how the damage was to this door when we pulled it out. So we know very accurately the speed of this door was around 100 to 125 meters per second at least. Now, what is this? What does this mean? This is very important because According to the Russian and the previous Polish investigation, the plane was approaching with an angle of 6 to 10 degrees when hitting the ground. The speed is, for this, is around 6 meters to 12 meters per second, according to the previous commissions. Vertical speed towards the ground. So, we found that this speed is more 10 to 20 times this value. So the 10 to 20 times works out in energy because it requires energy to shoot such a door into the ground. The energy is between 100 and 400 times the energy this door had if it was just following the fuselage, the rest of the aircraft. This is very important because where does this energy come from? That's the question you will ask as the crash investigator. Okay, we know the door needs this energy to go to the ground. Where does this energy come from? And these are the questions we have to answer through the investigation.
Right, and this remains to be cleared. Those questions are still hanging in the air. There is also another question because the door fell off the frame, or they were separated from the plane with the frame.
We know that this frame, and you'll be able to show the picture in your program of this frame, was found. If you have the plane hitting towards the ground like this, this is hypothesis, plane is approaching to the ground in this angle of rotation, and the left door sitting here is shot out into the ground with some high energy, requiring for it to go 1 meter into the ground. The frame that we are talking about is this part here, and you'll be able to show a picture of this more clear, but this is on this side of the door. This frame was found on this side of the crash site. So you have the plane coming in here, door is found here, and the frame is found on this side. So this information is also telling us where, in the case of explosion, where would such epicenter be located? Because the door itself seems to have made a movement like this. If we imagine here is the plane, and we have the left door here, so this is rotated like this. Here we have the door, and it's making this movement into the ground. So this is telling us.
So it actually shot to the ground with the longer edge of the door.
Yes, you have door here. Normally, you would be sitting here on seats. Door would be in this position. You open it up.
Right.
But now the plane is rotated, so it's like this, and it shoots into the ground like this. So
okay, that makes sense.
With this side into the ground like this. And you will be able to show a simulation of this in your program. Also, what the results are telling us is that if it had the speed forward of the aircraft, the forward speed is around 75 meters per second when flying towards the ground. 75 meters per second forward, this door would skip off the ground. It wouldn't penetrate into the ground. So something had to send it backwards and downwards for this to go into the ground in this movement.
Right. How does this happen that such an important piece of evidence, as you said, indisputable evidence, was missing for all those previous 6 years of investigation?
This you would have to ask Dr. Lassig, this question. I cannot answer this. It's very strange from the point of crash investigation to totally ignore such piece of evidence. Also, even worse, in my opinion.
Are you sure they knew about these doors?
I have heard there was some discussion because there was a hand found on this door is part of a human, this part of the arm. It's like pushed into the handle area, and you will see on the door the blood like pushed to one side. And inside this door, behind the frame, you find human remains at the top of the corner. So if you have the door here, normal flight direction, in this area here, underneath the panel, you have the human remains. which most likely is apart from the brain, because we can see from photos Russians made that the hair remains there also. So the question is, for the crash investigator, how can there be human remains inside the door, behind the panel? Somehow this had to happen before the door hit into the ground. So what is causing this? Such a question, it's very strange that the previous commissions didn't look into this issue.
And we know now, let's say it again very clearly, that they knew about the door.
Yes.
They knew about the weird position of the door when they entered the door. And they knew about their human remains
Yes.
that were onto that door. And they just ignore it.
What they did with this...
that piece of evidence because it didn't fit to their story of bad pilots, general in the cockpit, and bad president who ordered the crew to land at whatever the cost.
What they actually did with this piece of evidence, you would have to ask Dr. Lassig this question. I'm not able to comment in detail on this. I cannot find any piece of this information in the reports. So
did they have those pictures that you have?
This you would have to ask him. Most likely yes.
Okay. So very, very strange.
Yes.
How far we are now to the final explanation what really happened? Is this a year of work, or 2 years of work?
Well, I want to say that the committee is working it's the teamwork, and how far we are. This is I wouldn't want to answer this question. We are making very good progress, in my opinion, and there are very good results. This door is just one. I want to stress that this is not my result. This is result of teamwork. We have the people on board who are very good in accurately determining parts, finding out where parts are. We have people who are good in the calculation side. We have Dr. Novacic, who is our team leader. So this is teamwork that can give such results.
Okay. This horrible event really shaped the politics of not only Poland, but this part of Europe. Are you feeling some tensions, some weird people cruising around you?
No, tensions, yes. I've always been surprised by how the mainstream media in Poland are reacting to this case. It's always puzzled me. I don't want to dig into this area because it's not something I'm the expert on, but I want to stress that the work we are doing is based on facts and on evidence. And the way the crash investigator should work is only looking at this and forgetting all about politics. And that's how we work in this committee. That's how I try to work. And every time there's a hypothesis, we actually try to be the most critic towards our own hypothesis as possible. Because if you cannot shoot something down, there's probably some part of truth in this. That's the way the crash investigator works. And that's what I was lacking from the Russians and the previous Polish Commission, this type of work.
This time is the investigation based on science methodology. Thank you very much. Glenn Joergensen, polski obywatel i członek podkomisji do ponownego zbadania wypadku samolotu Tu-154 w Smoleńsku. Był naszym gościem. Dochodzenie do prawdy jest zawsze trudne i skomplikowane dzięki wysiłkowi takich ludzi jak Glenn Joergensen, który wystąpił dzisiaj w naszym programie, zgodził się wziąć udział. Mamy szansę poznać fakty, tak jak one wyglądają. W tym programie to już koniec. Zapraszam Państwa na kolejny. Zapraszam Państwa też na stronę facebookową naszego programu, gdzie można zadawać pytania ekspertom, a naszym ekspertem był certyfikowany badacz katastrof lotniczych Glenn Joergensen. Dziękujemy raz jeszcze.
Dziękuję.